Okay, using the pearl ball or the gold ball, we're gonna work up the front of the lower body. So you can do this against the wall or the floor. I'm gonna be on the floor. We're gonna start with the ball on our pubic bone. We'll work up a couple of points up just below the belly button, and we'll do a little bit of wrapping around the ball to give some low back traction. And then we're gonna move over to the right. We'll go up into the inside of the pelvis, go back down, and then we'll go over to the left and come back down. All right, so wall or the floor. And I'm gonna start high up on my pubic bone, taking a couple breaths here right in the center. I wanna press down into my feet to extend my legs away from my body, try to get some length there. And then just take a couple breaths in and out. And with each breath in, you want to have your pelvis be nice and heavy. And exhale. All right, using your forearms, take a breath in. As you exhale, you're sinking down on the ball, and you're just going to start to move your hips towards your feet. And you're kind of just at the top of the pubic bone. You might feel some stretching now away from that pubic bone. Press down into your feet. Try to shimmy your legs backwards. You could even use your forearms to try to bring your upper body a little bit more forward. Take a breath in, exhale, sink down. Take another breath in and we'll move right into the abdomen. So as we exhale, we'll sink down, use our forearms to move our body backwards. So now we're just in above the pubic bone here, pressing into the tops of the feet to shimmy the lower half of the body away. And take a breath in and exhale. Now see if you can rotate your tailbone towards the floor. So you're tipping your pelvis back and down. Just get a little bit more length here and then come back to neutral. And one more time, take a breath in as you exhale, press down, and then see if you can just tilt your tailbone towards the floor. All right, you can tuck your toes under. We'll roll forward, same way we came in, back to the pubic bone. Now we'll go to the right side. Take a breath in. Exhale, sink down, move the hips to the left. I have my hips level. I'm tucking my left toes under. Pressing that right foot, we're gonna try to extend that right leg long. Maybe even extend your right arm long. Now turn the right toes out a little bit and drag your foot out to the right. Just see if you can be at the very bottom of that, or at the top of that leg. And then bring that leg underneath you. We'll move halfway to the top of the pelvis. Take a breath in. Exhale, sink down. Use your forearms to move your body backward, just like a rolling pin on dough. We're pressing down into the ball and then we're moving. Take a breath in here. Exhale, maybe extend that leg long, extend that arm long, breathing in. And exhale, soften everything. And one more spot, take a breath in, exhale, press down, use your forearms to push your body backwards. Now we're in the inside of the pelvis. You can feel that bony hip pointer sort of catching that ball there. And you can drop your right hip to the floor, start to feel those tissues moving away. That's the iliacus that lines the inside of the pelvis. It's moving away from the inside of the pelvis. And level off those hips. Now bend your bend your leg at the knee, flex your foot, try to draw your heel in close towards your bottom. If you can easily reach back and grab your heel, go ahead and do that. And maybe even lift your knee off of the floor and try to move it away from you. Again, trying to keep some length. You might feel that that stretch now in your quad. And then keeping your knee on the floor, you'll just move your heel from left to right. And if you feel one side tighter than the other, you might stay there for an extra breath or two. And come back to neutral, release your leg nice and slow. You'll use your forearms to roll your body backwards, cross over onto the pubic bone, and we'll do the left side. So on that left side now. I'm gonna tuck those right toes under. I'm gonna try to reach that left leg long. And then turn the toes out to the left and drag the leg out to the left a little bit. And you're just right at the very top of the leg on the inside here, taking a breath in and out. Bring that leg back underneath you. We're going to start to move. So let's take a breath in. Exhale, sink down. Use your forearms to move the body backwards. We roll halfway up. Now I'm going to press into the top of that left leg, lift the knee, and try to move that left leg back, and then reach with that left arm. So we take a nice deep breath in here. And as we exhale, we'll just let everything soften as the ball gets in a little bit deeper. Now let's take another breath in. Exhale, press down. Use your forearms to move your body backwards. We come into the inside of the pelvis here. I'm going to press down into the top of the foot, try to move that left foot away from me. Reach my left arm long. Take a full breath in. And exhale, release. Now bend the knee, flex the foot. You can stay here and just rotate that leg back and forth, or you can easily reach back, maybe grab your heel, maybe lift your knee and see if you can move your knee further away from your hip and let it come down onto the floor. And now slowly move your heel from side to side. Finding that spot that might be a little bit tighter, you'll take a breath in and exhale, release. Slowly move your body forward as you roll back to the pubic bone. Come back onto your pubic bone to finish. And when you're ready, you can press back into a child's pose. So just move the ball aside, kind of knees wide, toes touching, and just getting some stretch to that low back. For this exercise, we're going to use a chair, and depending on how high your chair is, you might like some blocks or some books to bring the floor a little bit closer, right? So I'm going to use the black ball, and with the chair, you have more control here. So I'm going to sit on the chair and move my hips side to side, the two bones hitting the floor or the bottom of the chair. Those are your sits bones. So I'm sitting a little bit forward in my chair. And then I'm going to place the ball on the sits bone. So if you feel like once you do this, that you're kind of struggling to reach the floor, go ahead and just put some blocks or some books underneath your feet. And now I want to try to keep my hips level. So I'm on my right sits bone. And then I want to kind of lower my left hip to meet the right. So I'm not leaning over to the right side. We want to try to have as good, best posture as we could. So it takes a little bit of core strength, so draw that belly button in. You can place your hands on your thighs, and then just see if you can manage to stay here for a breath or two. And then we're going to start to move our hips forward and backwards as we kind of trace over that sits bone. And then come back and you can move side to side. All right, so this time we're gonna go shift our hips to the right. The ball's gonna go inside that sits bone. I want you to hug that sits bone nice and tight. And then we're gonna move our hips forward and backwards. So what we're trying to do is to take those sits bone and kind of pull them away from the center line a little bit, giving some space so that all those muscles can lengthen a little bit so you have more range of motion in your hips. So moving the hips forward and backwards. And then if you feel something that's maybe a little tighter, you might stay for a little bit longer. You can use the back of your chair. Sometimes I'll even lean forward, trying to really move my hips back and then kind of hinging forward a little bit. And come back to center. This time we're going to move the hips to the left. So now the ball's on the outside. And the same movements kind of forward and backwards as you're kind of getting into those rotators a little bit. And then come back to just outside And we're just gonna take that right knee and let it fall out to the right. You can kind of do that back and forth. And then you'll move your hips forward. You're still on the outside, same thing. See if you can kind of move that knee side to side. And then move the hips back so now the ball's more on the outside, but a little bit further behind the sits bone, and we'll do that same thing, just kind of moving the knee from side to side. And then come back and find your sits bone. Now I'm going to move my hips backwards a little bit, and I'm going to straighten as much as I can that right leg. So I'm right in front of the sits bone in the hamstring tendon space, and I'm just holding onto the back of the chair, or you can even hold onto the bottom of the chair, and you're moving your hips from side to side. So the three muscles that make up the hamstring attach here. So you might notice if you've got tight hamstrings, kind of one of this area being pretty tight. So see if you can find the tightest spot and maybe stay for a breath or two. See if you can just relax the leg. You could even hold on to the back of the chair and hinge forward a little bit. And if you're not sure, if you stay right in the center line, that's going to kind of hit all three muscles. All right, now I'm going to try to move my body all the way back to the back of the chair, and then I can use the ball and kind of move along different thirds. So I'm going to come into the first third of the leg, right in the center, and definitely need to bring my floor up a little bit higher. But we're going to bring some intentional engagement. So I'm going to straighten my leg, and I'm going to use the bottom of the chair to try to pull myself down. So we're intentionally engaging the leg. Take that nice, flex your foot, take a nice full breath in. As you exhale, just let that leg bend. So everything should relax when we exhale, and the ball just does the work. All right, we can do that one more time. So we're gonna hold onto that chair. You don't have to hold on the chair, that just gives you a little bit more pressure. Kick that heel out. Bring those toes in towards the shin. This intentional engagement. Take a nice full breath in and exhale, release. Let's move the ball halfway to the knee. And same thing here. So I'm going to take a breath in. I'm trying to sit nice and tall. Pull down, pull into the chair. Push that heel away from you. Try to move the toes in towards your shin. You might feel that stretch now in the back of the knee, the back of the calf. Take a nice full breath in and exhale, soften. Let's do that again. Take a nice breath in as we pull the chair closer to us. Kick that heel out, draw those toes in, and exhale to soften. And if you want to not straighten that leg, you can kind of just sit here and let the ball do the work. And then one more spot, if you can, if you have room in your chair, right above the back of the knee. So it's sort of right on the edge of the chair for me. Let's take that breath in. You can stay here or bring that foot up to straighten. Kick that heel, draw those toes in. Stretch, 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 then exhale, release. And one more time. Kick that heel, draw those toes back, and exhale to release. And you can kind of sit side to side. You might notice a difference with one leg versus the other. The one that we didn't do, you might notice the sits bone a little bit more spread. And if you bring your seat all the way back, you might look at your knees and it almost appears that you kind of built some length into that upper leg because one knee is feeling a little bit more out. We've given some space to that hip. So we'll do the same thing on the other side. I'll just turn the chair so you can see a little bit better. Bringing my blocks over. And I'm going to come to sort of the front of the chair on my sits bone. All right, and then I'll use the blocks to help kind of lift the floor a little bit closer. Feet hip distance apart. And try to lift that right hip a little bit so the hips are, so we're not leaning. We want to have good posture. So as best we can, we'll push down into the heels if you need to. Draw that belly in and sit nice and tall for a breath or two. Takes a little bit of core strength here. And then you can use your chair, kind of the back or the seat, and you'll just move forward and backwards across that sits bone, and then side to side. And then come back to that sits bone. So we're gonna move our hips to the left, and the ball's gonna roll inside. And then, so with here, I'm gonna hinge forward a little bit and maybe move my hips forward and backwards. So I'm trying to work along the inside of that sits bone, all those little muscles that are attached there, and try to kind of lengthen those tissues so that you can sit firmly and kind of more balanced and grounded on your sits bone. Back and forth. And come back to the sits bone, and this time we're gonna move our hips to the right. So I'm rolled out to the outside a little bit. And same thing, moving the hips forward and backwards. We're just gonna travel, kind of looking for where you might feel tighter. And come back to that, this kind of the center outside spot, and let that leg fall out to the left here. You'll just do some clamshells, a little bit, getting into those rotators, where the space is sort of where the leg comes into that hip joint. And then move the hips back, so you're a little bit still on the outside, but in front. And you'll do that same thing as best you can, just kind of feeling, trying to be between the two bones. And then move the hips forward. We're in the back. You can kind of lean back if you need to, and just move that leg out to the left. All right, then come back, find that sits bone. And now we're gonna move our hips back towards the back of the chair a little bit. So I'm not quite up there yet, but I'm in that hamstring tendon space. And I'm gonna straighten my left leg as best I can and flex my foot. And then I'm just gonna move my body from side to side along those hamstring tendons. Kind of looking for where it might feel tight. It might even hinge forward a little bit. And come back. And now I'm gonna sit all the way back into the chair, and I'm gonna move the ball into the first third of my hamstring, right? You can use the bottom of the chair again if you like. You can just stay here, or take a breath in. As you take that breath in, pull the chair up a little closer, straighten that leg, kick your heel away from you, draw the toes in towards you, and take a nice deep breath in, and then as you exhale, let everything soften. Okay, let's do that again. Kick that heel forward, draw those toes in, pull on the chair on your inhale, and exhale, release. So opposite of working out, we're just trying to kind of bring some muscular tension and then soften. So now I'm gonna move the ball halfway to the back of the knee. You can stay here or pull that chair towards you as you straighten that leg. Draw those toes towards your shin. Feel that stretch along the back of the knee. And then exhale to soften. Straighten that leg. Kick, kick, kick that heel. And exhale to soften. And then one last spot is just behind the knee. Sitting nice and tall here, take a breath in, straighten that leg, draw those toes in, kick that heel, exhale, just let everything soften. One more time. Inhale, kick that heel. We're pressing down, we're bringing the chair closer to the leg. And exhale, soften. All right, and then you can just kind of sit with your feet on those blocks or books. Look at your knees as you're pulled back in. See if you kind of brought some balance left and right, and then feel your sits bones and feel how they've spread, and you actually can sit taller without a lot of effort in the low back. You feel really grounded. This is a great exercise. Using the Pearl ball, we're gonna go down the quad and into the IT band. So we're gonna start at the bony hip pointer here. We can do this on the floor or against the wall. We'll have 3 different spots we'll wanna hit. So I'll just rotate from floor to wall so you can kind of get a sense of all of them and decide which one you'd like to do. So we are going to start on that bony hip pointer. So you can go down onto the floor or you can come against the wall. And I'll just find the wall. I'll put the ball up against the bony hip pointer. And I'm just going to lean in. All right. So if you're on the floor, you can use that left leg to kind of keep your balance and then just extend that right leg and let that right leg be soft. And I'm just letting my body weight press into the ball. All right. You can, we're going to army crawl forward if you're on the floor. So just start to kind of move your body forward, and the ball is going to roll all the way down into the kind of that fleshy part of the thigh. So if you're at the wall, you just move it manually. Okay. So pressing into the wall, just try to let that leg be soft. And again, the further away from the wall you are, the more pressure against the ball. If you're on the floor, you can stay up on your forearms, or you can come down to just rest in crocodile pose. All right, from here, let's bend the leg and try to press into the ball. And then exhale to release. Then if you're up on you come up onto your forearms, and from here, you're just gonna start to roll onto your side. You got your IT band. So it's pressing in. The IT band is like a leather belt. It really doesn't have a lot of stretch that you can get it. So we're just trying to kind of press in and try to pull the quad away, right? And then we'll start to slowly roll back, and you can feel the ball kind of jumping over all of the muscles. All right. Next spot, if you're at the wall, you'll just move the ball manually. Or come up onto your forearms. If you're on the floor, army crawl forward, go halfway to the knee. Coming all the way down if you'd like. You'll bend the knee, flex the foot, pull the heel in towards your bottom, and release. And one more time, bend your knee, flex your foot, squeeze, and release. Coming up onto the forearms, you'll turn your right forearm in and just roll onto your side nice and slow. And then slowly roll back. And then last spot just above the knee. So take a breath in, exhale, army crawl forward, ball is right above the knee. Bend at the knee, flex the foot, draw the heel in towards you, and release. And then turn your right forearm in, and you can start to roll onto your side. And then when you're ready, you'll just back yourself up into kind of this hero pose. If it's not too much on your knees, and just get that, stretches that right thigh a little bit. All right, we'll do the same thing on the other side. And I'll do those same 3 versions, be putting my back towards you, but that way you can get a feel for it. So we can start at the wall or the floor on the left side. We're gonna press in. I'm just gonna let that left leg relax. Take a couple of breaths here. And then move the ball to the upper third of the leg. And so you would army crawl forward, the ball would roll to the upper if you're on the floor. Bend your heel, flex your foot, draw that heel in, and then release. And then we're gonna start to press into the ball. You'll come up onto your forearm and you'll roll over to the side where your IT band is. And then slowly make your way back. Being at the wall, just move the ball to the next spot. Moving down onto the floor, if you're already there, go ahead and army crawl forward. The ball rolls halfway to the knee. Bend the knee, flex the foot, draw the heel in towards the glute. And release. And then turn the left forearm in for balance. You'll start to roll out to your left side. And slowly roll back. And then army crawl forward. One last spot just above the knee here. Bend your knee, flex your foot, draw the heel in towards you. Feel those muscles engage. And then slowly exhale and let the legs be soft. And come off the ball. And come back into your hero pose.